going?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Seminole County Code Enforcement Board of August 24th, 2022. Before we begin, I'd like to advise everyone about the procedures that govern appearances before the Code Enforcement Board. The meeting is open to the public under Florida's Government in the Sunshine Law. Therefore, every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence or arguments to offer. It is required that every person who appears before the Code Enforcement Board need to be registered with the clerk. The cases where the respondents are present and signed in will be heard first. You will be sworn in and affirmed by the clerk. Once all cases where the respondents are present have been heard, the Code Enforcement Board will hear the remaining cases as they appear on the agenda. When your case is called, please be seated at the table reserved for respondents. The county will present their cases, and then the respondents will be allowed to present their case. Additionally, please limit your comments to only information relating to this case. Each party may question witnesses offered on behalf of the other party. Additionally, staff members may question those appearing before the Code Enforcement Board. The board will then make their decision based on the evidence and the testimony as presented by both parties. All proceedings before the Code Enforcement Board are electronically recorded. Please speak directly into the microphone at the center of the table and state your name clearly before presenting your case. Should you need assistance due to a hearing impairment or a language barrier, please inform the clerk upon registration. All cell phones and other electronic devices are to be turned off or silenced while inside the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. We're going to go start with a roll call by Madam Clerk, please.
Kevin Ross,
Present.
Dudley Bates,
Here.
Don Peterson, Dennis Warren,
Here.
Jane Hames,
Here.
Yvette Brown.
Here. Ms. Townsend. Ms. Townsend.
Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine Townsend. Present. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, immediately followed by the swearing in of the witnesses. So when we get through the pledge, if you're here to speak today, please remain standing. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing if you're going to testify in any fashion today.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth? Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Kevin Ross to our board. He's a new board member. I believe he's Mr. Commissioner Constantine's appointment. Welcome. And,
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering. I'm going to recommend that we amend the agenda with just a couple changes so we can take those folks that are here first, beginning with case number 22-34 CEB, Joanna and Aaron Carlisle. That's number 2 on page 2. That would be followed by number 7 on page 4, which is case number 21-80 CEB, Joe Chavis. I will suggest that we have a motion to revise it in that manner with those 2 being first, and then we would hear the rest of the cases following.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Bates, second by Ms. Hames. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we've changed the agenda, and the first case first case to be heard is case number 22-34 CEB, Joanna and Aaron Carlisle. Ma'am, your name, please,
Melissa McAlpin,
and your...
counsel for Bank of New York Mellon.
And it was Melissa Calvin?
Melissa McAlpin.
Calvin. Thank you. Okay. Yep, whenever you're ready.
Officer Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2234 CEB, Joanna Carly and Aaron Carly. Their property address is 107 Elizabeth Avenue. Violation charge, Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Section 30.1349. All fences shall be maintained in their original upright condition. Initial inspection on this property was November 17, 2021, with notices to the respondent on 11/18, 12/6, and 1/4. Compliance date 12/10, 12/24, and 2/4. And my last inspection was this morning, and the fence remained not in its original upright condition. These photos were taken by myself on November 17, 2021. On May 2nd, 2022. On the 8/11 where I posted the property, and as you can see, the fence is still leaning. And then these photos were taken this morning by myself. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 2234 CEB, it is determined that the respondents, Joanna and Aaron Carly, they're the owners of record of the property 107 Elizabeth, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Section 30.1349. I'm asking the board to order respondents to correct the violation on or before midnight of September 9, 2022 by either repairing and or removing the fence and placing it back in its original upright condition. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 per day be imposed. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Before we move forward, let me also just make an addition that I failed to state that there's a second co-respondent on this case, which is the Bank of New York Mellon, as to a list pendants. The address is 107 Elizabeth Avenue, Altamont Springs, 3701. Just want to say that for the record.
I'm sorry, for the record, I will submit a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1.
Thank you. With those corrections being made, are there any questions for Officer Hurd in regards to her presentation before we move to the respondent? Seeing none, Ms.
Calvin.
Ms. McAlvin, this
Yes.
is your opportunity to present.
Yes, this case is actually in foreclosure. It's set for trial next week. And at this point, plaintiff is trying to obtain bids to come into compliance, but being that don't have possession as of yet, it's been kind of difficult. So we're just asking for additional time to at least try to get the repairs made, and our client's vendor is in the process of receiving bids to do that. So again, just asking for more time to come into compliance. I heard the September 9th date, but we will ask for at least 60 days, if that's possible.
Any questions for Mr. Bates?
This has been in some stage of pending since last November. A particular reason why something couldn't have been done about it before now, 8, 9, 10 months later?
I'm not sure if it was knowledge of it or just trying to get a vendor that will correct the issue.
May I speak?
Go ahead.
The home has been burned, and it's been like that for a while. There was a large pile of tree debris there also. I guess a tree fell, and I guess the neighbors cut it up. I did speak to one of the owners and made them aware, because they got my mail, and they said they were going to get out there and take care of it, and I haven't heard from them since then. They did get rid of the tree debris, but the fence is still in the same condition it's been in, and the neighbors actually were complaining about it still, the home even still being there, because it is really, it's burned.
It's not occupied, I'm assuming?
No.
You mentioned that the house is in foreclosure?
Yes.
So are they not going to, are they going to lose the property, or are they trying to keep the property?
At this point, no, they're not trying to keep the property. Yeah.
Then what would the additional time be for if they're not going to keep the property? Wouldn't that be the bank's problem?
For Bank of New York Mellon, additional time, yes.
Oh, so you're asking for the bank, okay.
Yes, for the bank.
Right, just so that you're clear, she represents the bank, who
Okay.
technically is not the legal owner yet,
Correct. Okay.
right? It's still under the property owner's name.
Any other questions?
I'm not sure that Mr. Bates' question was answered. So, as best as you know, for 9 months, what was the reason this was not taken care of?
Either, actually, I'm not sure of that answer. Representing the bank, again, not the owner, not in possession of the property to actually go on to the property and do all of what needs to be done. So that could be a reason for it. It could also be just waiting on the homeowner to take some action as well. But at this point,
Was this in the process of foreclosure last November?
actually, I don't have that information right on me. This case is... Yes,
When did foreclosure
based on
begin?
the date, it's a 2020 case.
Just because you enforce the county's recommendation doesn't mean that the foreclosure can't continue and the process can't continue.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, so the recommendation is to come into compliance by September 9th, or a $50 per day fine will begin accruing. The co-respondent has requested for 90 days, which would put it at October 23rd. If we were to consider that, our next meeting's October 27th.
Just so that we're, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
Just so that we're clear, they're not technically a co-respondent. I think they're listed as a courtesy, but the property owner is still the legal owner of the property, and that person is not here today to make any request.
I have a question for Officer Hurd. Officer Hurd, have you spoken with the owner personally?
I spoke with one of them. They gave me the impression they were going to try to get the house repaired and do what needed to be done there. But that was only one time, and I haven't heard from them since.
Because fixing this fence is easy. I could do it.
It is. I don't know why. Like I said, they removed the tree debris, but they never touched the fence. So I'm not really sure what happened.
Ms. Ames?
I am prepared to make a motion that we accept the staff's recommendation as is.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hames, second by Ms. Townsend, that we accept staff's recommendation, find that there is a violation, accept staff's recommendation as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So that's what we've done. Thank you, Ms. McCallum, for showing up today. Appreciate that. Next case is going to be case number 21-80 CEB. It's on page 4, item number 7. And this is case number 21-80 CEB, Joe Chavis Jr., 458 East Highland Street, Altamont Springs, 32701. Officer Hurd.
Did you want him to give his name?
Yes, thank you. Your name, please?
Joe Chavis.
And you're the owner. Thank you so much.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This case was originally heard by the board on January 27, 2022, and an order was issued giving the respondent a compliance date of February 11. An affidavit of noncompliance was filed by the code enforcement after reinspection on February 14, 2022. An affidavit of compliance was filed by a code enforcement officer after reinspection on April 7th, 2022. Based on the evidence, the findings of fact, conclusion of law and order issued on January 27th, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order reducing the fine to the administrative cost of $55.59 and require these costs to be paid within 30 days of the fine, or it will revert back to its original amount of $5,500 and constitute a lien on the property. Now, I was out there on the 11th where I posted it, and I've talked to Mr. Chavis. I was out there Monday and this morning, and the tire was flat again, but he's saying that it's been pumped up. So if we could, I told him I'd come by this afternoon after the hearing to check to make sure it is up, but when I went by this morning, it wasn't. So I don't know if he must have done it between this morning and here.
Are you done?
Yes, that concludes my presentation.
Any questions for Officer Hurd? Seeing none, Mr. Chavis, this is your opportunity to respond to this.
Yeah, the tire goes low. It takes, probably about a month. It's got a slow leak. I did have it fixed, but apparently they didn't fix it very well, so it is pumped up right now. So I said I would take it back down there and had the tire repaired again.
Any questions for Mr. Chavis?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have anything that shows that you've taken it down to have it fixed, that actually happened?
Not with me. I mean, it was a few months ago when I did it. Took it over to Midas across the street from me.
Any other questions? All right, the original recommendation from the county was to impose the lien, or to approve the lien for $5,500. This is a lien request, by the way, and they have revised that to recommend that we impose administrative costs, the amount of $455.59 if paid within 30 days. If not, it would revert back to that $5,500 amount, and a lien would be imposed at that point. So that's the recommendation on the table. Is admin cost $455.59.
I would move the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion seconded to impose a fine of $455.59 if paid within 30 days. Otherwise, it will revert back to the amount of $5,500, and a lien will be imposed for that amount at that point.
So let's come up with a specific date for 30 days. Madam Clerk, September 22nd, or
That's the next
that's
meeting.
less than 30 days.
September 22nd is 30 days.
At 30 days? All right, so September 22nd? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So again, to recap the motion, $455.59 fine to be paid by September 22nd, 2022, or the amount reverts back to $5,500 with a lien being imposed for that amount. All approved? Say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have one opposed, and Ms. Townsend, and the rest approved. The vote carries by a majority. So that's what we've done. Appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've had a couple other people come in that we're going to cover if there's no opposition from the rest of the board. Case number, there's two cases with the same respondent, 22-39 CEB and 22-40 CEB. The respondent is it Claire Celine Prosper? Thank you. Okay, well, wait till you get to the table. Thank you, sir. And they can be found on page 3. The item 6. Sorry, I'm...
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
5 and
Thank
6.
you.
Okay, I'm confused. What numbers are we doing here together? 5 and 6. 5 and 6.
5 and 6, found on page 3. The two case numbers, 22-39 CEB and 22-40 CEB.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Going to be also heard again, and I'm going to have you present one after the other.
Okay.
And then, whenever you're ready. And sir, I'm sorry, your name again?
Francois Prosper
And you're the son?
of Mrs. Clarkson Prosper.
Okay. And you were sworn in? Were you sworn in? Did you
Yes.
raise before? Okay. You already did that?
No.
Yes, I already did.
We're not sure if you did. Could you stand up and let's do it?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Officer Hurd, whenever you're ready.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case number 2239 CEB, Claricine Prosper. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. The property address is 3191 West Windchime. The violation charge, Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3A, which is what we consider rubbish. Initial inspection on this property was January 2022. Notices to the respondent with compliance date. My last inspection was this morning, and the materials remain on the property. This is from a neighboring property where I could see into the backyard. These images were taken by myself on January 10. On February 1st, 2022. This was when I posted the property on August 11. And these pictures were taken this morning by myself. It looks like a sink. There's what appears to be hot tubs. Next photo. A trailer with rubbish and some other items. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Claricine Prosper, she's the owner of the property at 3191 West Windchime, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3A. I'm asking the board to order the respondent to correct the violation on or before midnight, September 9, 2022, by removing any useless materials or any items no longer fit to be used. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $100 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. That's the end of this presentation.
Thank you. And then the second case, and both of these cases are the same address, 4191 West Windchime Circle in Apopka, 32703. Next case, same respondent, is 22-40 CEB, if you want to start with that one.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. The respondent is Claricine Prosper. The property address 3191 West Windchime. Violation charge Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3B, which is vegetation. Initial inspection was January of 2022 with a couple of notices and re-inspections. My last inspection was this morning, and the vegetation in some areas remained on the property. This again is from a neighboring property. Along the fence line there, you can see there's high grass. It was taken on January 10th. Another photo on January 10th when I posted the property on 8/11. And this morning, it was like 6 something, almost 7. But some of the property has been cut, but there are areas where the grass is high. And this was on August 24th. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Claricine Prosper, she's the owner of the property located at 3191 West Windchime, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the board to order the respondent to correct the violation on or before midnight of September 9, 2022, by removing all unmaintained vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. I met with a gentleman this morning, Jim, I believe he said his name was, because Mr. Prosper, when he talked to him on the phone, he said he had to take someone to work. So that's how I was able to get access to the backyard. I explained to him and showed him the things that needed to be taken care of. There was, looked like a bumper of a car, bikes that, with no rubber on them. It's just items. Now, he did tell me that the items on the trailer, and they were going to clean up the backyard and pull the trailer to get rid of the stuff. But it was still some grass and also some rubbish on the property. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
So this, you're showing up there, uncultivated vegetation. This is also the rubbish?
No, the other one, the 2239, was the rubbish.
Okay, it just
But
shows.
this one is for vegetation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for us or heard? Seeing none, sir, this is your opportunity to speak to both of these cases.
Well, the reason why the vegetation is so high, my sister, I was supposed to cut the grass. I cut the grass because we are in the rainy season. The grass go up fast. But my sister was sick. I had to go spend some time with my sister. When she called me, and I said, okay, I'm coming back. But yesterday I didn't have a chance to cut the grass. That's the reason why you see the grass so a little bit high. But I cut the grass. It wouldn't be that low if I didn't cut it. But the other parts that you see, it was somebody who did a job for my mother. He didn't do a good job and put everything in the back, but I'm about to get rid of them. Some of them are very heavy, and doctor told me not to lift because I had problem with my back, and I'm trying my best, but I'm gonna get rid of them pretty soon. I didn't know where to get them the first time. That was the reason they spent so much time in the trailer until somebody told me to go to Geneva at the landfill, and I got rid of them. And the other one, the middle, I can take them to the recycle center, and that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, you understand the recommendations being made, this board's going to consider what to do. The recommendation is all this stuff will be fixed by September 9th, or on each of these cases, a $50 per day fine will start at that point.
I promise you that I will. I'm going to ask people to come to help me. We're going to get rid of them.
So you understand September 9th, you can have it done by then?
I'll do it before September 9th, I will, yes.
Any questions for the respondent? Mr. Bates, you have a question, comment? No?
I just move the staff's recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay.
On both of them.
As to, we'll start with case number 22-39 CEB. Motion by Mr. Bates, seconded by Mr. Ross, to accept staff's recommendation as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As to the second case, do we have a motion on 22-40 CEB?
I'll move to accept the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ross, second by Mr. Bates to set staff's recommendation on that particular case also. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, very good. Get it done by September 9th. contact her when you get it done,
I will.
and you'll be in good shape. Thank you. Brings us to, I think that's page 6, no, 5, agenda item number 8, case number 22-11 CEB, Ernest Tominello, law offices of John DeMasi, Liz Pendants. So what's that number, 673? What's the address?
Yes.
673 St. Johns River Drive, Sanford, 32773. And sir, your name?
Ernest Tominello.
Thank you. Officer Bavaro, whenever you're ready.
Is he sworn in? He needs to get sworn in.
Oh,
He was sworn.
Was he sworn in?
Yeah, that was sworn.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Officer Bavaro, whenever you're ready.
Officer Barrow, Summit County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement, case 2211 CEB. The case was originally heard by the Code Enforcement Board on March 24, 2022. Orders was issued given a compliance date of April 7th. Affidavit of non-compliance was filed by myself on May 5th. So based on the findings of facts, conclusions of law and order issued on May 24th, 2022, the Code Enforcement Board issued a lien in the amount of $34,750 for 139 days of non-compliance from April 8th, 2022 through and including today's date, August 24th, 2022. And the fine shall continue to accrue at $250 per day for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance is obtained. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Bavaro? Seeing none, Mr. Tominello, this is your chance to speak.
Yes, I thought I was up to code. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures now. If you look, there was a fence that I did put up, and I thought it was up to code. I put PVC pipe around, and it's a netting fence that went around there. I do not live at the residence. My ex-wife was at home. I got the papers the other day. She handed them to me, and I'm like, what is this all about? I thought I was up to code. I immediately went and called, the enforcement officers, find out what I need to do. Right now, I'm in the process of getting a survey done, a permit pulled, and verification of application with my homeowners association that I could put a fence up. Once I get that approved, I'm going to make sure that a hard fence is completely around the back of the property.
Any questions?
How long do you think that will take, sir, to complete what you're talking about?
Well, I've got an email from, it's called the Deal Land Surveying. They say between 2 to 4 weeks before they could come out and actually do a survey. I've got drawings here that I want to go to the building department and get a permit pulled. And then I have the application for my HOA that was emailed to them. So it's just a matter of time for them to say, when it can be done. Material-wise, I should be able to get material, no problem. I called the Home Depot and Lowe's. They said they have everything in stock, so the chain supply issue of the materials should not be a problem. I think the major problem is the time that it's going to take for the permit, my homeowners association, and the survey being done.
I have a question.
Ms. Townsend?
When you say you learned about this, quote, the other day, what is that time frame?
I believe it was the 12th or the 13th. When I dropped
this month.
Of this month, I dropped my son off, and my ex came out of the house and said, "Oh, you got to take care of this. This was on the property." She didn't say where it was, but that was all I got from her. And then I started reading it, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a second!" And so when I contacted code enforcement to see what needs to be done.
So, officer, the last 5 months that this has been going on, this lady never told you she was not the owner?
So I will give you a brief recap, not to rehear the case. The original complaint came in and it was inspected on September 14th of 2021, so just shy of a year ago. I was in communication throughout the entire time with Samantha, I believe, which is the respondent's ex-wife, and the respondent. On 1026, which is the image you're on your screen now, they had put up a barrier. There was essentially no barrier before. They attempted to secure it, put up this barrier. On 215, the respondent, I spoke to the respondent and his ex-wife. Essentially, both of them were pointing fingers at each other on whose responsibility it was. When I posted the property for this hearing, a neighbor had approached me, was on the phone with the respondent's ex-wife, Samantha, and they were inquiring as to what we were doing there. So I was explaining to them we were posting the property, this is for lack of compliance. The respondent called me about that time and said he knew nothing about that. And we've probably had, I don't know, at least 5 phone calls regarding this from September. So I went back and looked. He said that he wasn't aware of the fines that had been accruing. So he did get certified mail from the clerk's office, or we would have posted the property. See if this document pulls up or not. There it is. So that image you're looking at is me texting the respondent. I won't say his phone number for the public record, but it ends in 5580. That was a text message that I had sent on 2/23. And it says, 673 St. John's River Drive. Hello, this is Officer Bavar with Code Enforcement. Just wanted to let you know that the hearing is scheduled for March 24th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. You will receive a certified mail with a copy of the documents. Please let me know if you come into compliance before that date. Thank you. And it was read on the same day. So I believe maybe forgotten about the issues was a better term. He did contact me on 3/2 via phone and said that he'd secured the pool. So from the image on 1026 going to the image on 3/9, this essentially was the progress that was made. So,
Is that just a opening there?
yeah, it's a baby gate that was intended to be used to secure the whole pool, but the whole backside of it's open. I mean, it's nowhere near acceptable. My point in this is that this has been an unsecured pool, a life, health, safety issue for near a year.
And it's not even temporarily...
As of last inspection, it was similar to the image you're seeing here. There's another one on 8/11 where we posted the property, 2022, and there's no barrier, so.
Is the home occupied?
It is occupied, from my understanding. And the neighbor to the left, if you're looking at the house from the road, has children.
And evidently children are living in the house.
I don't know.
Would it be your suggestion that we tag this as a life, health, safety?
It's up to the Code Enforcement Board. We did follow the fine recommendation guide, which lays out $250 a day for unsecured pools, which is the maximum fine allowed for this type of violation. And there's no say that if you impose a lien that he can't still come into compliance, or when he does come into compliance, apply in front of the BCC to get a reduction and leave it up to them. But
Right, the only thing before you today is the decision whether to file the lien or not.
Right.
Yeah, that's, okay. Again, as noted, this is a lien request. Of course, if there's any other questions, so we'll continue on. The request is file a lien for $34,007,500 for however many days that comes out to.
139 days, and it's still out of compliance.
Still out of compliance.
So the fine will continue to accrue.
At $250 per day.
And I don't know if you recall, the bank was here, the HOA attorney, I believe, excuse me, not the bank, the HOA attorney was here, and I believe they did file Liz pendants on the property.
How,
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe you can live in Florida for one day and not know that pools have to be secured. I would make the motion for the staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Townsend, second by Ms. Hames to accept staff's recommendation to impose a lien of $34,750 for 139 days of noncompliance. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is what we've done. We've accepted staff's recommendation, and there is going to be a lien imposed. Thank you for your attendance today. And the fine will continue to accrue at $250 a day as long as it's out of compliance.
and once it's in compliance, what?
Call us or
Call me.
borrow.
You have my number.
I do.
There are still avenues for you to take to, if you want to try to negotiate something.
Yeah,
with the county
you know,
commission.
listen, I am the homeowner, I'm not making any excuses. I haven't been to my home in probably 3 months all summer. I had my child, my son, at my home. I haven't been there, so I don't know what goes on. I understand it is my home. It's my responsibility. I'm the one that put up that fence. It wasn't a baby gate. That's the fence that I put up was a fence that you use on an above-ground pool, not an above-ground, but in an in-ground pool in a screen room. I put PVC pipe in there. It was stretched tight. It had a little.
At this point, we've already made the motion and accepted that, but thank you again.
Thank you.
Next case is found on page 3, case number 22-38 CEB, Leola Morgan, 1321 Pine Street, Altamont Springs, Florida, 32701.
She needs to be sworn in.
Okay. When you get to the table, if you could remain standing behind the table and raise your right hand, whoever might be speaking here today. Raise your right hand, please, ma'am.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a seat, and I'll need each of you to state your name.
Leola Morgan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alan McMillan.
Thank you. In your relationship to the case?
I'm a friend of Ms. Morgan's. I've been helping
Thank
her
you.
with the house.
Very good, thank you. Again, 22-38 CEB, Leola Morgan, 1321 Pine Street, Altamont Springs, 32701. Officer Hurd.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2238 CEB, Leola Morgan. The property address is 1321 Pine Street. Violation charge, Seminole County Code, Section 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3A, basically rubbish on the property. Initial inspection on this property was January of 2022. A couple of notices and compliance dates. And my last inspection was this morning, and the waste materials remain on the property. This image was taken by myself on January 10, 2022, January 27, 2022, May 2nd, 2022, 8/11 when I posted the property, 8/24 this morning when I went by. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Ms. Leola Morgan, she's the owner of the property at 1321 Pine Street in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3A. I'm asking the board to order the respondent to correct the violation on or before midnight of September 9, 2022, by removing any and all useless waste materials on the property. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $100 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. Thanks. That's the end of my, well, actually, what happened, the home caught fire, and I guess they pulled the items or whatever, that stuff, maybe out in the yard. I did talk to a gentleman, that was you, okay, thank you, because there was a pod there, but they got rid of the pod, and they did get rid of some of the rubbish, but there's still some items back there that need to be removed. I've never spoken to Ms. Morgan to my knowledge. Thank you, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions to Officer Hurd? Mr. Bates?
Again, when did this action all originate, please?
In January of this year, I believe.
January.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, Ms. Morgan, this is your opportunity to present whatever you'd like to present in regards to this, and your friend can also present as well.
Okay, I'll speak on behalf of Ms. Morgan. I did call Officer Hurd initially because there were the old refrigerator, the stove, several items that were in the yard.
Could you lean into the microphone, please? I can't hear you. Thank you.
Once again, I did call Officer Hurd once the initial notice was given. There was refrigerator, stove, various items in the yard, and there was a big pile of rubbish that was there and a pod. I called Officer Hurd to find out exactly what we needed to get rid of to get into compliance. So the pod was removed. All the refrigerator, stove, and all the extra furniture pieces and so forth were taken out of the yard. If you would look and review the pictures, just by note of the pictures, in the earlier photos, there's a big pile of rubbish there. In the latter photos, that pile of rubbish has been removed. Now, her son has a trailer there. I don't know if that trailer for his yard equipment is considered part of the debris that you all would like to have moved. And right now, at this point, we would like to just get a specific clarification. Is it the trailer
No, sir. No, sir.
that needs to be removed,
No,
or specifically what needs to be removed so we can comply with her?
See where the shed is?
Yes, ma'am.
There's some, it's like, it looks almost like busted of concrete. That pile of rubbish right there, you see that?
Yes.
And then rubbish on, if there's rubbish on that trailer, the trailer can be there, but you can't keep, if there's rubbish on it, it cannot be there.
That is simple for us.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, it is the remainder of any rubbish that may be down there, even though the big pile was moved, any of
Right,
that?
yes, the remaining.
And the trailer has to be empty?
If there's trash on it, you can't store it there. If there's lawn equipment, that's fine.
That's not trash, she's stating. That is lawn equipment that's covered
fine.
up.
Lawn equipment's fine.
Yes, ma'am, he does yards, so.
Okay.
Do we need to send you a picture of it uncovered to verify that this is not rubbish?
No, I'm going to take your word for it. But the other stuff needs to be removed.
From my standpoint, we can have that removed because it's just ground rubbish. We can have that removed in under 48 hours.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
One question, just out of curiosity, I know the county just changed its policy on tags being required for cars. Are they required for trailers? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. It has, well, that's a good question.
If you don't know, we can.
I'd have to ask the county. I'm not sure. I would assume that they do.
Oh,
It's
I'm
not.
not sure.
It's not one of the violations. I would just.
No, it wasn't. No, but,
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Mrs. Morgan has just informed me that that trailer does have a tag.
Okay,
a
yeah,
current tag
I was
on it.
speaking in general. Thank you for that. Are you, anything else you'd like to add, or you know?
No, sir, we just came to get clarification of what was still in the violation status.
Any other questions or motion by the board? Recommendation is compliance by September 9th or $100 per day fine. He has testified for Ms. Morgan that he can have it done by that time.
I'll move to accept the recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Ross, second by Ms. Townsend to accept staff's recommendation as presented, finding that there is a violation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, you get it done by September 9th, and you're in the clear. Just make sure you communicate with Officer Hurd once it's done.
I do have one other question for you, just in general. I removed some items before and put them on curbside and called for a bulk pickup, but that never occurred. So my question is, if I do this again, because this can get bagged up with construction bags, and it could be removed with maybe 8 bags or so, which is well within the range of pickup, what do we do if it is not picked up by September 9th?
You got to figure that out yourself. We don't know. I think the county just calls this private company that they contract with on bulk pickups, but it's your responsibility to get that stuff out of there. So I don't know what the answer to your question is, other than
I was just wondering if we have compiled and made the bags and put everything on the curbside and have a date for it being picked up, would this still put us in violation once we have cleaned it up and it's on the curbside and we're waiting for pickup?
If it's on your property, it needs to be removed. So if they don't come out, then, like he said, you're responsible for getting it off of there.
today, those pictures were August 24th. That's today. I heard you say you could have this done in 48 hours.
Yes.
There's a long window of time between that and September 9th. September 9th is your deadline, so anyway, the bottom line is you've got to figure it out if you can't get it through bulk pickup.
I understand. I was just trying to get to a clarification, because bulk pickup goes on the curbside of county property. It's not on her original property.
But you're responsible for maintaining that portion of your property.
Even though it's the county property? Gotcha.
Yes.
You answered my question now. Thank you.
All right.
Is it county property or is there an easement?
No, he's talking about right on the right-of-way, but the county has a code that the property owner is responsible for maintaining that portion of their property also. They keep it cut, so obviously they know they need to keep maintaining.
Yeah.
All right, looks like you have item number 1 and 3 left on the agenda.
We'll run through this real quick. Thank you for coming. Again, contact Officer Hurd as soon as you get that taken care of.
Okay.
It didn't look like a lot to me.
It is not.
Yeah. Okay, brings us back to the beginning of the agenda. Item number 1 on the agenda, on page number 1, case number 22-31, CEB Unique Painting, INV LLC, Balgrim Ramgopin, registered agent, 20, if I get these numbers wrong, somebody correct me, 2903 Oak Lane, Fern Park, Florida 32730. And I apologize, I left my readers at home. There is no respondent present, so we'll go ahead and hear that case. Officer Hurd, you again? Yep.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2231 CEB, Unique Painting in INV LLC at 2903 Oak Lane. The violation charge is unmaintained vegetation, Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B, and this is a recurring violation. Initial inspection on this property was November 2021 with a couple of notices and compliance date. My last inspection was Monday, and it had been cut. It was actually cut, I believe, on the 2nd. I just wanted to recheck it just to make sure. This property's been vacant a little while, and it keeps changing owners. And I did meet, the part that you see cut here on this, there was a neighbor actually out cutting it, because he said he thought he was doing them a favor. But there's a complainant in the area that complains about this property all the time, and I said, well, I can't cite the property owner if I come out and it's all cut. So he actually stopped cutting it. So this image was taken by myself on November 17, 2021, 12/13/2021, 8/2 of this year, where it had been cut. Based on the testimony and evidence in this case, Unique Painting INV LLC, they're the owners of the property at 2903 Oak Lane in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property, and was in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the board to issue an order that the respondents did correct the violation on or before midnight of August 2, 2022, by removing all the unmaintained vegetation. But if this violation is repeated, order a fine of $50 per day be imposed for each day the violation continues after compliance. Now, I did speak with a gentleman that had something to do with the property. He said they were waiting on permits. That's what took so long. But permits has nothing to do with cutting the grass. So I'm not sure really where he was going with that.
Nice try.
And I did tell him
Nice try.
I did tell him that I was going to ask the board to issue an order so that if it happens again, the fine would start automatically. So he was made aware of that. And I went out, and it looked like it was a fresh cut when I went out on the 2nd. So I think maybe they'll get the picture. But this property goes in and out of violation all the time. So I'm asking if you would please make an order, so if it happens again, the fine would start. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Any questions for Officer Hurd? How many times, you say it's recurring and it's all the sequence and picture, how many times have you actually reached out and spoken with somebody at this company that's...
Well, the person with this company I only spoke to once. When I was out there earlier in the year, there was a gentleman there that I guess he was the property manager, and he said, well, I'm going to make sure I get it cut. And they would cut it, but it would grow right back. So I've had this property over the years, starting with the original owner, back probably 10 times. And they just, for whatever reason, and it changes hands a lot. So for whatever reason, it just...
So you got to start over every time it changes hands, start
Yes.
over with the new?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a vacant property?
It's vacant, yes. Yes, so I believe the original owner, he passed away. And ever since then, somebody else they buy it seemed like every other year or something.
The recommendation just seemed a little light to me, but I guess I get it if this is a new, you keep rolling into new people.
I mean, it's up to the board.
Right. Right. Okay, the recommendation is, well, it's corrected, you said, right?
Yes, it's in compliance. I would just like an order
We
just in case this owner doesn't keep up with what he said he was going to do.
So we're here to make a motion that there was a violation and that any subsequent violations would be at whatever fine we come up with. You know, the recommendation at this point is $50 per day, up to us.
What's the maximum that we can ask for in a first-time offense?
$250.
$250.
Given how many times this has happened, I think that's the kind of number you need to get somebody's attention, because obviously it's not getting anybody's attention.
Right, right.
So I would move to accept the recommendation with a fine of $250 per day.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ross, second by Ms. Hames, to find that there was a violation and that any subsequent violations will be met with a fine of $250 per day, accruing daily. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that one, item number 3 on your agenda on the next page, case number 22.
35.
Thank you. 35 CEB Archie and Mary Kyler, 1238 Dunbar Street, Altamont Springs, Florida 32701. Officer Hurd.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2235 CEB, Mary L. Kyler. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of the presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. The property address is 1238 Dunbar Street in Seminole County. Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Section 30.182 and 183, which is the outside storage of furniture and appliances, not a permitted use or use allowed by a special exception on R1 zone property. And this, again, is another one of the recurring violations. Initial inspection was October 4, 2021. Notice to the respondent 10/5, compliance date 10/22. And there's several re-inspections, and my last was this morning, and it was taken care of this morning, but I'll explain it to you later. Digital image was taken by myself on October 5th, 2021, 10/26, 2021. These were taken May 10th, 2022.
Looks like a garage sale.
These
Sorry.
These were taken on August 11, 2022. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Mary L. Kyler, she's the property owner at 1238 Dunbar Street in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Section 30.182 and 183. I'm asking the board to order the respondents to correct the violation on or before, I think, September 9. In order to correct the violation, the respondent must cease the outside storage of items on the R1 zone property. And if the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $50 per day be imposed for each violation if it continues or is repeated after compliance. So, Ms. Kyler, she's actually passed away, but her son Archie, he goes around different places picking up stuff, and he says he's helping people because he gives it to whomever comes by if they need it or want it or whatever. And I've talked to him over the years, and I've asked him, you can't do that. You can't just put stuff out for days and days like that. But he still insists on doing it. So he'll stop for a couple of months, and then you go back by, it's back out there, and something else is out there again. So I did tell him that I was going to be bringing it to Code Board. He got kind of upset, but he's going to be all right. He just needs to cease doing that, because it looks like, you say, a garage sale, and the stuff sits out overnight, and in the weather. So, but that's what he does. He rides around with his truck picking up stuff, saying he's giving it to people, and it's just out there. So, thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? Ms. Townsend, you have a motion?
I would make the motion to accept staff's recommendation with a fine of $250 a day.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Townsend, second by Mr. Morris, to accept staff's recommendation, finding that there was a violation, is a violation, and compliance date is set at September 9th, or fines of $250 per day will begin at that point. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I just have a quick question. So is the son the official owner now? Has it been deeded to him?
Well, I believe so. She died a couple of years ago. His dad just passed away. So I believe it's two brothers that I know of. One's Archie, and I can't think of the other one's name. So I believe it is. But he's got some issues. So I really don't think I'm going to have to talk to him, because I don't think he's going to understand what we're doing, because he's got another property right behind there, same thing. So I have to talk to him so he'll know. Yeah, he was upset. He said I'm picking on him. But I've been dealing with him for years, doing the same thing.
He could make his own life easier by just taking everything to Goodwill.
I know. I don't know why he set himself up in a business, but he won't do it.
Okay. That sort of concludes our cases that we're going to be hearing today. There's a few more cases where they came into compliance before the hearing. You can read those at your leisure. Which brings us to the end of the agenda. Anybody have any new business, old business that needs to be discussed?
Did you have an opportunity to review the minutes so you can approve those?
Mine are a little detailed.
Minutes, we need to see if we have a motion to approve those.
I think they've been sent to you electronically.
Yeah, we already have.
Would you- yeah.
I will make a recommendation to approve the minutes as submitted.
Motion by Ms. Hames to accept the minutes as presented previously.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any other business?
Just note, we're back to a Thursday schedule
Yeah, why was
for
this?
September.
Back in
was-
February, the board had agreed at the request of the building department to move this hearing to Wednesday so that they could do their training on Thursday and Friday in use of the chambers.
And then at some point, I'd like you to start thinking about, I'd like to do another workshop. And so we'll look into it. I don't know, the holidays sometimes get a little busy because we don't always have a November meeting, and we move up our December meeting, and we're already into September. So it may be in January.
January.
But yeah, in the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, always ask.
Better if we have any other board changes or anything.
Yeah.
We have 2 new members now.
I have 2 new members now, and if we
I
have
guess
some...
Lori, too. Probably she hasn't been to one either.
No. So, yeah, let's shoot for January, I think,
Okay.
unless something out of the ordinary happens between now and then. Probably our January meeting. We'll meet about an hour and a half before and do a workshop.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Is there, and again, Mr. Morris, welcome. Thank you for being here. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bates, second by
Somebody.
Second.
Ms. Townsend. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll see you all next time. Thank you.